Hello and welcome to Ranked Ramble. In this episode, new deck, who dis? So, we are trying to combo with Saheeli in a very creature-heavy Niv multicolored deck. We ultimately want to use Saheeli and Aurelia to attain infinite combats. So, we got messed over here. Our opponent starts out with black. Our opponent is Zombie Tribal, which is you'd think would be a great matchup against a pile of creature decks, but honestly, it's pretty bad, particularly if we've been hit as we have here. So, with multiple tap lands, it's one thing I've noticed from this deck. We are going to have to work with getting the mana way more efficient. There's way too many tap lands in this build. But yes, our opponent runs out a full set, and with a Crypt Breaker, they now have card advantage, and we are not drawing any lands. So, we will play our Blood Tithe and pass. They start using Crypt Breaker to draw cards, so unfortunately, we're probably going to be drowned out in advantage at some point. This is me just checking what Crypt Breaker does again. Such a good card for a tribal deck. I am going to trade here because if you fight any tribal deck, your best option is always just to keep their creature count down. Draw another card. We find our fourth land and our fifth land. So I'm going to play Saheeli, the Sun's Brilliance, and then I can pass. We have an instant speed Vanishing Verse if we need it. So our opponent activates the Hive of the Eye Tyrant, swings in, exiles our Niv. In response, we will fetch. Now that they've tapped the Hive, so they can't use the mana for anything, we will exile it. It's one of the better hitters, and ironically, artifacts are not monocolored, they are the absence of color. So let's throw down Niv and get a reload. We hit an insane amount of cards here, and this is where basically we are insanely close to winning here. So what we have to do is we have to just wait first, see what our opponent does. They Lazotep Reaver, Death Baron, swing in. We go down to 1 here, because ultimately I don't want to lose the Niv. And they have a Thoughtseize, so if they take anything else, we're fine. If they take Neoform, we're done for, and we're done for. See, what we could have done here is we could have dropped the Favorite Elder, made a hasty one with Saheeli, then Neoform Niv, and achieved infinite combat. So we were literally, they got luckiest with the luckiest top deck ever. So there's no ultimate way out of this here. I'm thinking if I use Saheeli to copy Niv, find another Neoform, but without an active mana dork, we can't go infinite here. So looking at my options, I can play a Favor Elder, play a Reflector Mage, or I can make a Favor Elder. Yeah, and I just swing in here. That's as much damage as I can do, which is a real shame. So we can use Reflector Mage here, bounce the Deadbra and concede. So ultimately we were 1 turn away there, which is I think a pretty good showing for this deck. So Deputy comes in over opponent. Yeah, that was truly heartbreaking, to be honest. We were literally, they luck-sucked the Thoughtseize away. I'm not one that thinks I don't think that Thoughtseize should be banned or anything, but I think Thoughtseize should be banned, but I don't think Hand Disruption's bad. I think that giving Black X decks the best discard spell in the game is really messed up. I like it when they have to meta, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, we can't just play whatever, we can't just play this generic 1-drop. Like, I'd like it if there was just Despise and Despair, where it's basically they've got to work out, well, are they playing creatures or are they playing non-creature spells? You know what I'm saying? I prefer it to be like that. So we've been here Vanishing Versing everything that we can. Death Baron comes down. We'll play a land. We'll play the Favor Elder here because we can get a Niv down. There you get Zombie with Cavernous Souls. No, this is not a call for Thoughtseize to be banned, as I've said before. I think it's perfectly acceptable as a card. Right. we are going to play our land here. We can drop Niv Mizzet now, reload. We have now 5 mana available with Aurelia. So what we can do here, I'm working out here the mana. We can't play both Saheeli and the Deputy, so I'm going to choose just to play Saheeli. Then I'm going to pretend like I messed up the mana cost. Opponent activates, swings in with everything. They hold back the Death Baron, so we'll trade here. And we just got to see what they have on their hand. We go down to 2. Opponent doesn't do anything, but we are dead next turn, so just for the sake of things here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bait them, I think, but I don't have the mana. So what I'm going to do is play Aurelia, play the Deputy, take away the Death Baron, try to bait their activation. Now we go infinite, so we use full control here. We hit, use Saheeli, copy Aurelia. New Aurelia goes to second combat, attacks, triggering another combat step. And now we get to copy that Aurelia too, make a new one, and go to our next infinite combat step. And our opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes. So, it is conceivable, and it is pretty good to get there. It needs way more tinkering, as you'll see from other game performances that we'll go through this video. But this was the happiest I've been brewing for a while, if I'm honest. We get a bad start here, we can't cast any of our spells, so we got a mulligan. This hand is more acceptable, but still a bit awkward. So I'm going to get rid of... I'm trying to think here. I'm going to get rid of the basic land. And we draw a basic land because Modo really just likes messing with me. So let's get a Voice of Resurgence down. They go to 3. And they have a Lord of the Accused here. We will trade because we can make another token. Play a land, play another Voice of Resurgence, hold back. Opponent plays a Death Baron. Swings in. We'll double block here just to, well, no we won't in the end. Which was probably a mistake. Oh, we do find a Vanishing Verse, so we'll Vanishing Verse Death Baron. Shock in here, play Saheeli. Now we have a good board to hold out here. In response, they feed the Swarm. See, now they're scared of the combo. Obviously, we would have just played that for value here. I'm going to double block the Mutavault here. Fortunately, that loses all our creatures because I forgot about how this works. I'll play the Bloodtide Harvester here. And I choose not to do anything here, which is a huge mistake because I forget the Lord of the Accursed can give menace, so we were just dead there. Yep. And unfortunately, that was the mana curve. I showed this to a friend of mine. He said this would probably work better built like the old Kiki Chord decks. For those of you who don't remember, Kiki Chord was a creature-based combo deck that laddered up to Kiki and Restoration Angel. It was super fun to play back in the day. So we move on to our second match here. Start with Xander's Lounge. Our opponent plays a Tranquil Cove. So our opponent appears to be blue-white X. So it's either blue-white Spirits or blue-white... Oh, right. I remember this. So I wanted to leave this in for a reason, and it wanted to do a little rant here. So this is going to be the ranked? The rant in Ranked Ramble here. So what's happening here is you'll see the sun jump in the cut here because we got some pretty bad storms in the UK at the moment when I'm recording this, and my internet blips out. And it blips out, an arena server can't reconnect you. Like, I have to restart the client. So I restart the client, and I come back, and it's my opponent's had like 2 turns. And 2 turns against a tempo deck might as well just be you're dead. Now, I did come back and see if I could play it here. Like, you can literally see, like, here it goes. and I realize that my internet's down, so I just start messing around trying to figure out what I'm doing, come back in, and we come back here now. It's been a couple of minutes and I've had to tinker, and this is the board state. So we didn't even get the Reflector Mage down. They flipped an invasion, got a Curious Obsession going. We are just dead here. My rant here is, could Arena, why don't you have the same thing as Modo? Modo has the inactive for so many minutes clock, where you have one chance. Like, this whole timer thing is just, you know, it's just, I just don't think we need the timer. I think we just need an activity clock of like 2 minutes. You don't make a move in 2 minutes, or you hold the clock for 2 minutes. You drop from the game and give it to the other person. Why is that different? Because here's the deal. If I had been this connection, right, in terms of this magic clock, this was about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And my opponents had basically 2 turns to just have free reign and go off and win the whole match. Now, for crimony's sake here, we do kind of get close to bringing it back. But honest to God, if I could have just come back in, you know, I would have at least had a shot. You know what I mean? And this is what infuriates me the most, because I've got pretty good internet, touch wood. Touch wood, tap tap. I don't have these issues very often. We're having a pretty bad storm at the point of recording, which kind of dates this video. And it's really annoying that, like, a tiny blip in the internet costs me this match, particularly in ranked. Like, if I was in casual, I wouldn't give a crap. But yeah, like, and now, honestly, I don't want to continue this match. Because I threw a free game away, I'm at a disadvantage, and opponent's got skyboarding. And I know that the timer, they're like, oh, this is for people with bad connection or people that struggle. No, it should just be, have you took a thing in a certain amount of time, you'll hold it until then, and it's done. I guarantee nobody would complain. So, here's our match here against Aerokin. We have a very slower hand. I like Atreus, the Oracle of Half-Truths, in this deck. I like Neoforming up to him. I also like cloning him with Saheeli, so opponent is white-black, they probably have removal, so I'm going to run out of Saheeli here. They Thoughtseize here, and take a Neoform. People are super scared of the Neoform. They think it's like linchpin of a combo. It's not. There's a 6/6 dragon 5-drop here that's going to come down and wreck you. Alright, we get Atreus, the Oracle of Half-Truth, down with the sick constellation art. I need more of this art style. I particularly love how the active border scales. I'm going to keep the Aurelia here, and we'll swing in with Saheeli, just to give the impression that we're not going to do anything. Fortunately, our opponent concedes. Maybe they were hoping for a second discard spell to take out the Niv, but honestly, in that, I guess maybe Neoform just reams combo. We are a combo deck. And I suppose in that first game, taking the Neoform was truthfully the correct option. Right, so this time we'll get rid of Niv here and hold up a little bit of interaction. Opponent Thoughtseizes us, takes away our Voice of Resurgence. Opponent now plays a big blue, so they are Esper. I'm not going to shock in here, I want to see what opponent is. They Pickpocket Prankster, they are the Greasefang deck. So they Thoughtseize us, take our Neoform, and we don't find our land here, we're just going to concede. We can't cast anything, we know what they're trying to do now, so we just bring in Leyline of the Void. And then we just take out a few small adjustments here. We're going to take out the Neoforms. Well, because we ultimately could get punched out here. So we just got to find a Leyline. And of course, it's got to go down to this many. I do have one question though. If you'll notice, we go up against a bronze player. How does the matchmaking on Arena work? Could somebody explain that to me? My friend has a conspiracy that Arena tracks your data and knows like how viable you are to like, quit. Like for example, it knows that I'll quit after 3 or 4 games because that's how much time I have each day. So my 4th game is normally against someone super high ranked than me. Opponent drops the Greasefang, we'll just drop the Faber Elder. But if anyone knows how this works, could you let me know? I'd appreciate it. Bit of Triumph to take out our Faber Elder. Shock in. We're not finding land here, so this could be problematic for us. It would be very embarrassing to get beaten by the rat if we don't get anything. We do find a 4th land though, so we'll drop Edgar. If he resolves, which he does, he's a solid, super hard to remove threat. They Faithful Mending, which is basically draw 2, discard 2 forever, because they don't come back. Man, it is going outside. The storm, we're at the tail end of that storm I was saying before. I'm not going to attack here, I'm just going to pass. We have an Atari, Itri Resurrected, which is a counterspell on a stick, and if they have a way to get rid of the ley line, I would rather deal with that. Like I said, I'm happy to let Edgar die. Atari Resurrected is in here, obviously as removal, but it's insanely gross if you can get him and Saheeli on the field and activation. Like, it's basically, you can't do anything. We do get Mystical Disputed though, which sucks. So we'll drop a Faber Elder here, which is a 3/3 currently. They Bit of Triumph the Faber Elder, which is weird. I guess they don't want to waste their interaction here. We'll play Yishan, the Impactful Earth, pick up our 2 basic lands, so we can make our mana drops. Our land drops. I suppose it is dropping a mana on the field. Opponent's still just picking in for 1 here, we're on 10. So let's play the Blood Tithe Harvester and a Saheeli. I forgot the Blood Tithe is a vampire, so Edgar does give him a buff. We'll get him with Yishan here. We're not too worried if Yishan dies. We kind of want him to die so that we can sack the Blood Tithe Harvester. So we will activate Saheeli, copy the Blood Tithe. I realise that I can't sack them here. So we'll just attack in here for 2 on 8, put some pressure on them. They trade with Yishan finally, and they use Surge of Salvation to give Hexproof until the end of turn. So we'll Vanishing Verse the creature, but Hexproof's not indestructible, so it's weird. I don't understand their line there. They are dead on board, so they play another Greasefang, play a land, and pass back to us. We don't even need to use Niv here. We'll use Blood Tithe to clear, showing that synergy and swing in for lethal. Excuse me. So that was a pretty good starting for the deck. Now we can move to our final match here. This is what I'm talking about. So this is the 4th match, because obviously we had that blip match. And it's against an opponent who is ranked above us, which is weird to me because, well, we don't have an insane win rate. We're not like pushing, I know fighting games do this where if you're pushing like a huge percentage win rate, they'll match you with higher opponents for your skill. We are literally like, I think 1 and 2, so we're about average. Opponent goes for a Memory Deluge on their turn, which always feels good. We're gonna Gloom Shrieker, get back the Fabled, so we can keep our mana drops going. We'll swing in with the Voice. Opponent has Fatal Push, we get another token. We can play another Voice of Resurgence, see if that baits out anything from our opponent. Doesn't, so that's 5 damage on the field. They go for the Wandering Emperor here, and they exile the Gloom Shrieker, so we will exile their Emperor in response. They are down to 17. They use Fort Seize on us. Let's see what they take. They respect the Niv, so they don't take the Niv. They Fatal Push, giving us free freeze. So swing in for 9 here, and we'll pass back. Opponent Memory Deluges again. Plays a land. Play a Fable Passage, swing in for attack. The opponent uses the Wandering Emperor here. Exiles their our token, puts him down to 4. We will crack Fable, grab a mountain, cast on Niv Mizzet, see if it resolves. They do have the make disappear here. They make a samurai, pass back. We'll play Bloodtithe Harvester. We will attempt to neoform here. Let's see if they let it resolve. They do, which is bad for them. Now, I'm assuming they could have other interactions, so we will get Clothis, swing in here. Our opponent's Shark Typhoons to make a 5/5. So they survive here with a 5/5, but they're on a 2-turn clock with Clothis. But they have to fairy because control players have to be given everything to make them happy. Again, like I said, it's my discussion like I previously had about how things like Thoughtseize, like we shouldn't have cards that answer everything. You should have to think about what goes in your deck. It shouldn't just be this Planeswalker automatically wins me the match. This automatically answers everything. So we go for the control matchup again. So basically we bring in all our nobody has fun cards. And I'm mesmerized by the Atreus flickering there. We bring in we just gotta try and see if we can just power through this. So anything that doesn't directly answer, and we took out an Aurelia because the odds of us surviving to a combo are very unfair. So we mulligan again, and ultimately got to keep a bad 6. I'm getting rid of the Neoform because we don't have blue. We can't really cast anything here, so we're preying on our top decks, which we don't get, as always. We do here, so let's get a Bloodtithe Harvester on the field. They change the equation. Again, another spell that just says, hey, if it's good for this or good for that. Yes, I am mad about control. It's my worst matchup. It's naturally what I'm allowed to hate. Right, I'm going to use the blood here to loot away one of our tap lands. We draw a card. Play land, move to combat, see if we can bait out an interaction spell. They cycle a Shark Typhoon. I'm going to trade my Bloodtithe here because it means a clear shot to resolve my visit. We reload. Excellent. Right, we have a veto here, so we'll swing in with Niv, get 6 damage on the field. We only have 1 blue, so we're going to have to resolve the voice here. I would like to throw down Saheeli to keep a constant Niv reload threaten up. But our best bet here is to hold up our veto for any potential counter. We also have Urtai. They go for the Wandering Mind. We will the Wandering Emperor. We will counter that. Hit him down to 6. We'll play Favor Elder here. Our opponent uses Supreme Verdict, which is unfortunate. We'll play the Deputy Detention because my screen was messed up. See what our opponent does. They pass back, we'll shock in. We can place a Saheeli here to make it a lethal attack. We attack in. Opponent goes for the Shark Typhoon for 1, so we'll flash in Urtai Resurrected and destroy their blocker. And even after a misplay, we take him down. Yeah, it's me checking the Atreus interaction there. Unfortunately, we go into another rematch here. A friend of mine actually was talking about playing on Arena, and he was like, I can't believe you actually play against Control in Ranked. I was like, what do you mean? Don't you run into it? He goes, no, actually, I'm trying to get as high as ranked as possible, so I literally just auto-concede out of the set so they just can have a win on me. I don't care. I'd rather give them a win than play for 40 minutes. I was like, well, that's messed up. And he goes, yeah. But that's what you got to do if you want to get up into higher ranks. I mean, you told me that. I was like, oh yeah, I did tell you that back when I used to try and grind Mythic every other month. God, I put so much time into that back in the day. I think that was just to prove that Niv decks could get to Mythic. Right, we're cycling here, just looking for any answers. We got a ton of things that will exile and bounce and get rid of stuff, but we're going to see what our opponent resolves here. So we'll play a Favorite Elder. It resolves. Opponent uses Tainted Indulgence. Void Rend. Another Tainted Indulgence. I think that was their third one. Yep, there's the fourth one. We will play Deputy Detention here. I'm just going to try and Neoform this. They have a Make Disappear. Yeah, we probably should have held up one more turn, waited for that. There's Wandering Emperor, we'll veto that. We find an Atreus, so we'll try to play Atreus. He resolves. I think we just need action here. We need guaranteed action. But I'm going to take this because I want to see if there's something better than Clothis. The thing is, Clothis used to be like a slam dunk against control decks like Cindervines. Well, it was a better Cindervines in my opinion. But then they printed more and more stuff, and it was just like, they printed more and more stuff that was like, hey, yeah, counter this, but also destroy enchantment. Cast a Planeswalker. Oh yeah, if you cast a Planeswalker, it blows up the universe and stops your opponent being able to play Magic. Yeah. My opinion is that they shouldn't have been able to get so many answers that answer everything. Memory Deluge here, trying to stop them getting some card advantage, hoping that we can grind through for a few Blood Tithe hits. Fortunately, we only seem to draw lands. They have another Wandering Emperor. They exile it, we will exile their Emperor. Pass the turn. They have a Restless Reef here, so we're going to cycle, see if we can find anything else. We find a Saheeli, which is okay if we can resolve it. They mill a bunch of good stuff, and so we just start drawing lands, of course. We play Yorion. They have another answer. We'll just pass back. They activate the land again, and this is what will happen forever now, because they're just going to have a perfect answer to it. So yeah, I mean, we still struggle against control decks because, you know, control decks are probably the biggest crybabies in Magic. They have to have an answer to everything. Like, but I want to play control, and like the enchantment spells, I can't like answer them, so I need another one, wizards. Yeah. Well, best of one control players are like that, I should stress. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed this deck. See you in the future.